To you. This is the 10th anniversary of Delhi Dialogue. This is a unique year for us with our partnership with ASEAN as we are celebrating the 25th year of India-ASEAN Dialogue. I would like to request Madam Preeti Saran for her remarks. Madam.
Good morning, namaste. Honorable ministers from the ASEAN countries, heads of delegations of ASEAN countries, Honorable Minister of State for External Affairs, General V.K. Singh, Chief Ministers of Northeastern States of India, heads of missions from the ASEAN countries, distinguished guests, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It is my proud privilege and honor to welcome you all to this 10th edition of the Delhi Dialogue, hosted by the Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India, in partnership with the Research and Information Systems for Developing Countries, that is RIS, and the ASEAN India Center at the RIS. I would like to thank them for their invaluable support in organizing this event. Our other partners include Economic Research Institute of ASEAN and East Asia, that is ERIA, Jakarta, the National Maritime Foundation, New Delhi, and the ASEAN India Business Council. The Delhi Dialogue, since its first edition 2009, has evolved into a useful forum to brainstorm all aspects of ASEAN-India relationship. The dialogue has assumed a prime role in providing policy guidance across all three pillars of ASEAN-India cooperation. It has contributed significantly towards strengthening our strategic partnership. As the 10th edition, this session of the dialogue naturally holds great significance. Apart from being the 10th chapter, it also is the first major event following the very successful ASEAN-India Commemorative Summit that was held in January this year, when we celebrated the 25th anniversary of ASEAN-India Dialogue Partnership. India was privileged to host all the 10 heads of state government from the ASEAN countries, not only for that summit, but also as chief guests for our Republic Day, the following day, which is an unprecedented event. At the summit, our leaders got an opportunity to take stock of the prevailing global environment. This gave us an invaluable insight into their vision of the future of ASEAN-India partnership in the decades to come. A prominent theme that emerged from their discussions was ASEAN-India cooperation in maritime domain. At the recent Shangri-La Dialogue held in Singapore in June this year, our Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, had said, and I quote, "For thousands of years, Indians have turned to the east, not just to see the sun rise, but also to pray for its light to spread over the entire world. Humankind now looks to the rising east with the hope to see the promise that this 21st century beholds for the whole world, because the destiny of the world will be deeply influenced by the course of development in the Indo-Pacific region." Unquote. In this spirit, over the next 2 days, the Delhi Dialogue will attempt to give form to the vision of our leaders and try and define the path of India-ASEAN partnership in the prevailing geopolitical and geo-economic environment under the theme Strengthening ASEAN-India Maritime Cooperation. We look forward to fruitful and thought-provoking discussions on the direction and priorities of our engagement. I'm confident that the interactions and exchange of ideas among policymakers, academics, and industry leaders will help to give a boost to India's relationship with ASEAN, both at bilateral as well as multilateral levels. ASEAN lies at the heart of our Indo-Pacific policy. We will work with all to retain ASEAN's centrality and ASEAN's unity in the regional architecture that follows an open, inclusive, and a rules-based order. I'm extremely grateful to all the distinguished guests especially the honorable ministers from the ASEAN countries and the heads of the delegations, our Minister of State for External Affairs, General V.K. Singh, and the Chief Ministers of the Northeastern states of India, who are here with us today. Excellencies, we are really greatly honored by your presence. I take this opportunity to wish all the participants the very best for a very fruitful discussion, and thank you all for your presence here today. Namaste.
Thanks, Madam Secretary. Now I would request Honorable General V.K. Singh, Minister of State and Ministry of External Affairs, to lead our dignitaries on the dais. So friends, we now begin our first inaugural session, in which I would first request General V.K. Singh, Minister of State for External Affairs, for his remarks.
Honorable Chief Minister of Mizoram, Shri Lalthan Hawla, Honorable Chief Minister of Meghalaya, Shri Conrad Sangma, Honorable Chief Minister of Tripura, Shri Biplab Kumar Deb, Honorable Deputy Chief Minister of Arunachal Pradesh, Shri Chavna Main, Shri Honorable Minister of Industry and Commerce from Assam, Shri Chandra Mohan Patwari, our Secretary East, Srimati Preeti Saran, delegates from Asian member states, all the ministers and vice ministers who have come from our ASEAN neighborhood, heads of missions of ASEAN countries in New Delhi, members of the diplomatic corps, excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and namaskar. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome each one for this 10th edition of Delhi Dialogue, and I'm thankful to all the delegates from ASEAN member states for being amidst us today. I welcome all our chief ministers from northeastern states who have kindly agreed to participate in as part of this panel, and I also extend a very warm welcome to all the delegates and speakers who are present in the hall today. The Ministry of External Affairs is delighted to host this 10th anniversary edition of the dialogue today, and suffice it to say that we have completed a decade which has seen the dialogue growing from strength to strength. And it is today a recognized leading premier track 1.5 process to deliberate on all facets of ASEAN-India partnership. From a humble beginning in 2009 when we started with discussions on economic cooperation, today we have evolved to include various pillars of cooperation amongst India and ASEAN. The theme has been chosen very aptly this time in view of the focus that we want to put on fast emerging and a very relevant area of ASEAN-India maritime cooperation. We strongly believe that it is the ideas of this cooperation that will set the tone for future of Indo-Pacific region, and it will have all the keys to unlock the prosperity for common good and goals for our people and provide us with the seas which are safe, secure, and free for all. Let me begin this special plenary by highlighting certain facets of our Act East policy and the priority that our northeastern region has in the same. The fact that we are opening the Delhi dialogue with a round table of our chief ministers from Northeast in this plenary session shows the focus that we place not only on the northeastern part of India, but also on our Act East policy. We feel that from a humble start that we made in 2015, when our External Affairs Minister invited the northeastern states to the dialogue, today we feel that as part of our Act East policy, it is this discourse with our northeast that will make things that much better. Allow me to restate for the benefit of the larger audience that our Act East policy is not just a progression, but it is a leap forward from the Look East policy that was followed till now. There are three key distinguishing elements in this. First, Act East policy is wider in scope geographically and covers the entire breadth of Asia-Pacific region while keeping ASEAN at the core of this. Secondly, the focus is beyond economic integration and includes political, security, socio-culture dialogue at a deeper level. And thirdly, Act East policy is more action-driven and result-oriented. This is what distinguishes the Act East policy from the erstwhile Look East policy. We are now looking at a new paradigm of development where foreign policy initiatives blend seamlessly into our national polito-economic development requirements, especially in our Northeast. Our efforts are to reinforce our ancient links of culture and cooperation with the Southeast and East Asian countries through stronger cooperation based on civilizational, cultural, commerce, and connectivity issues. We envision our northeastern states to be active partners in developing linkages with Southeast Asia across these four aspects that I mentioned. The Northeast Asia, this northeast region of our country is a land bridge lying at the confluence of South Asia, Southeast Asia to our east, and East Asia and Southeast Asia, which also share their various issues with this particular region. And I think as part of our Act East policy, this particular region has a very important bearing on how things will evolve. And that is why we have our chief ministers today as part of start of this dialogue. The inclusive development of Northeast is a priority for our government. And we have a separate ministry for this called the Ministry for Development of Northeast Region, which has been empowered much more than what it used to be to ensure that the progress and development of our Northeast ensures that this land bridge allows for exploitation of rich resources along with our neighbors in ASEAN. The government has been allocating suitable funds for development of Northeast, and lot of innovative arrangements have been made to ensure that the lacunas that we found before 2014 in development of our Northeast are taken care of. Having looked after that ministry for some time, I can assure you that today our Northeast is much better, and all our dynamic chief ministers who are here would be able to tell you as to what has been done to ensure that they come up on their own and become this great land bridge that we were talking of. Internal connectivity is improved. We are looking at the completion of the Kaladan multimodal transit transport project in Myanmar, and we are also looking at enhancing air connectivity with the type of initiatives that have been recently launched. Something which is very important in ensuring that we provide the necessary resources and connectivity to between Northeast and the ASEAN countries. We would, we have done it earlier, and I would say that there are very strong cultural and civilizational links between our Northeast in the way people are, in the way the culture is, in the way the fabrics are, you name it. And it is something which needs to be exploited, something which needs to be looked at from the point of view that the northeastern part of India is actually a totally organic zone where the agricultural produce is concerned. It can become a hub for production and marketing of all organic food stuff and food processing. Therefore, there's a tremendous potential, and I'll leave it to all the ministers and chief ministers who have come from this region to, I'm sure they would highlight what each state of theirs is doing. To sum up, there is a strong linkage that we want to forge, not only between whole of India and ASEAN, but also to a region which is very close to the ASEAN neighborhood, that is our Northeast. And I'm sure that this is what is going to enhance connectivity, enhance prosperity, make trade and commerce that much better. And when the connectivity issues are brought to completion, it will be truly the type of linkage that we are all looking at. With these words, thank you for being with us here. Thank you. Namaskar. Jai Hind.
Thanks, General VK Singh. I think you're absolutely right when you say ACT is leapfrogging over Look East, and I think that's really the spirit. Friends, as we mentioned in the beginning, this is the 10th dialogue of Delhi Dialogue Series, and this is for the first time we are having the chief ministers here from Northeast. It is this idea of External Affairs Minister, Madam Sushma Swaraj, where she thought of having the chief ministers and the voice of Northeast right up front when we are talking of ACT East policy. So now in next 1 hour that we are extremely blessed to have chief ministers and representatives from the Northeast, Northeastern region. I would first like to invite Chief Minister of Meghalaya, Dr. Sangma, for his remarks.
I think after coming to this conference, I've already been promoted a bit in one way, because the chairperson, Professor Sachin Chaturvedi, has already given me an honorary doctorate. I'm not Dr. Sangma. I'm just simply Mr. Conrad Sangma. But thank you for giving me the honorary degree. Our Honorable Minister of State for External Affairs, General VK Singh, all the Honorable Chief Ministers, all the Honorable Deputy Chief Ministers and Ministers of Northeast States, all the dignitaries who have come from the different ASEAN countries, all the officials of the Government of India, officials from the different state governments, and all my dear friends who are present here today. Though I have a written speech, I would just like to speak, as they say, from my heart, because I'm truly honored and truly excited to be part of this Delhi dialogue. And the reason why I am so excited is because I truly am a person who believes that there is this huge opportunity that is there. And we really need to move forward together to ensure that this opportunity can be tapped. And I feel that programs like these, dialogues like these, they really allow us to come together and share some of our ideas, and also allow us to find a way forward on how we could actually achieve those particular goals that we have in mind. I know the topic for today's dialogue is on the ASEAN Maritime Cooperation, but of course there is limited input that we can give from our sides as chief ministers of our states. So therefore, without really sticking to that, I think it's an opportunity for me to really express and share what we feel as people and as leaders from Northeast on how really this is a great event and a great opportunity for us to move forward. I think what General V.K. Singh has mentioned, I think really is what we all are here for, and which really is the Act East policy. And I must say that we have seen Government of India in the past 4 years has really given a lot of importance and a lot of stress on development of Northeast. And there has been an additional input and importance that has been given by the Honorable Prime Minister himself. And there have been many occasions and many instances where government has gone that extra mile to ensure that the Northeast states and the people of Northeast get that additional benefit and the required infrastructure and importance that we do need in order to move forward. We have a lot of challenges in the Northeast, and that's the reason also why we see Government of India also stressing a lot on how to improve things out there. Number one, of course, is the connectivity issue that we face. And most likely, and I think the most important aspect of really looking at the development of Northeast as well as the materialization of Act East will depend a lot on connectivity. Just to give a small example, which we share with a lot of people, Guwahati to Kolkata, which is the nearest port for us in India, is almost close to 1,300 to close to 1,500 kilometers. Whereas the closest port physically or geographically was actually Chittagong port for us, which is about 750 kilometers from Guwahati. That saves us almost close to 900 kilometers of transportation. And for Tripura, our Honorable Chief Minister of Tripura is here with us, it is even closer. I think it's hardly 264 kilometers to Chittagong port. Yet, the people of Tripura have to travel all the way, the materials have to travel all the way from Kolkata and reach Tripura. I think these are simple, basic connectivity points that I think could make a huge difference. So therefore, I think it's very crucial that whether it is the BIMSTEC or whether it's the ASEAN nations, I think it's very important for us to ensure that the connectivity in the region is something that we need to focus on. And I'm glad that the Government of India is working on it. And I really would like to encourage and use this particular platform to stress on the importance of the connectivity to BIMSTEC as well as to the ASEAN nations, whether it is, even Myanmar and Thailand, the connectivity that is proposed, which is yet to materialize, but we can well imagine what will happen when those connectivities come up. Apart from road connectivity, I think air connectivity is very crucial. And I think most of the states in the Northeast do have physical airports now. And I think it's important that the airlines and the air connectivity to different parts of ASEAN countries. You know, I was sitting with one of the officials from Assam one day, and he was mentioning to me that from Guwahati, it is closer to travel to the capital of 7 to 8 nations than it is to travel to my own country's capital, which is Delhi. So therefore, if I'm in Guwahati, I can reach Dhaka, I can reach, Myanmar, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, all these nations faster than I could reach Delhi. So I think this is a very important aspect, and I think we need to really explore that aspect also. And that air connectivity must be there. But just simple air connectivity is not enough. And that is why I think it's great to have some of the ministers from the other nations, ASEAN nations, that we still have to go for a visa to Kolkata. And I think that is a big hindrance for us. And I think if we can have the consulates of all the respective nations in the Northeast itself, it may not be in the same place, it could be in different locations. Maybe Myanmar consulate could be in Imphal, because that's the closest to go to Myanmar, or just like that we could work out, and I think that would be a great way to move forward. Another aspect I think is very important, which I propose, and I think it'll be nice, is we could have a concept of sister states or sister cities that could come up. And actually the states from Northeast, say Shillong, could be a sister city to some other nation, and then or to a particular city in one of the ASEAN nations. And I think this concept also would really allow us to really focus on that relationship and allow us to get closer to each other. So I feel that instead of making it very broad, if you could come up with this concept of sister states and sister cities, I think would go a long way in really improving our relationship that we have. I think General V.K. Singh had mentioned about the cultural links that we have. And I think it goes without saying. I just want to share a small joke with you, with the permission of the chair, that my late father, Mr. P.A. Sangma, he was the Speaker of the Parliament. And when he was the Speaker of the Parliament, he had traveled to Malaysia. And in Malaysia, he had gone with a full delegation and everything. And there then he was sitting there, and they were serving drinks in the dinner. And so when the drinks were being served and everything, later on he was asked to, he continued asking for the drinks, and they just ignored him. They just didn't serve him anything. And later on, one of the officials from the government of India said that, can you please serve our speaker, some drinks? So the waiter just flatly refused, and he said, we don't serve locals out here. So that's how it is. We are so close. I mean, even when you look at us, and even culturally, we will find the same bamboo dance that you have, which is in Mizoram. You'll find it in Philippines also. We have the dances in. I went to Cambodia once, and there is there's some groups, the Khmer groups we met, and they were so similar to our tribes in the Khasi Hills, and there was so much of similarity in language, in the words they used, and I was amazed to see, to hear those and see those things. So I think these are things we can connect to, and I feel this brings us even more closer. And therefore, I feel it's just the question of the boundaries that actually, and the nations that maybe separate us. But I think in terms of so many cultural aspects, in terms of the economy that we share as a region, I think there's a huge opportunity. So without taking more time, I think there are other much more senior people who are here who's speaking, who will be able to throw more light on it. I don't want to take much time, though as I said, I have a speech and there were so many points in that. But I thought it's more important that I speak from the heart. And I think just one more point which I would like to mention in this opening remarks that I have is I think it's also important that we do have more of language exchange. And I think that is one issue that really inhibits the growth, of the economic, growth that we have. And I think as a Northeast Chief Minister, and I would encourage, of course, other Chief Ministers also, and request Government of India also, I think it's important that we have more foreign language schools and institutes in the Northeast region that maybe teach, different languages of the ASEAN nations, or of the other nations that India plans to have more relationship with in the future. So I think language is something, foreign language is something I feel strongly, because the human resource of India is most probably one of its biggest strengths. And I think the human resource, to be able to really ensure that we get the maximum out of it, requires the language aspect. And if the language can be taught to our young boys and girls of different nations, I think it will go a long way in really promoting the region also, the country, and also the youth of our nation. So with these few words, I wish this Delhi dialogue great success. And this is the 10th dialogue, I'm told. And it's really great to be a part of this. I really look forward to the deliberations and the thoughts and discussions that will take place today. And I thank our Honorable Minister, Madam Susma Swaraj, for having taken this initiative. This is the second time that I have been Chief Minister for 4 months, and this is the second time that the External Affairs Ministry has called all the Chief Ministers of Northeast specifically to discuss issues of Act East and the relationship with ASEAN nations. And I think it speaks volumes of the kind of importance that Government of India and our External Affairs Minister and our MOS, Shri General V.K. Singh, are giving stress on when it comes to Northeast India and the Act East and the ASEAN nations. So I think it's very positive, and as a Northeast Chief Minister in one of the states, I really look forward to seeing more, better, stronger relationships in the future. I have always proposed, and I still propose this, that Chief Ministers of Northeast, I think, should travel together, to these different nations, and I think that will be a really great thing. I had last time proposed that we should go by bus and drive from Guwahati up to Myanmar and cross the border as chief ministers together in one bus or in one convoy, whichever is more practical. But going together, I think, gives a very strong message. So I think in this forum also, I would like to stress and request that if the External Affairs Ministry could take that initiative to take the chief ministers of Northeast together to different nations, I think that again would be something that would send a very, very strong message also. So with these few words, I once again wish the program a very great success, and I thank the Honorable Minister and the External Affairs Ministry and all the dignitaries present here. I thank all of you for being here, and thank the Ministry for inviting us and giving us this opportunity to share our thoughts with us. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thanks. Now, without further ado, I would like to invite Honorable Chief Minister of Mizoram, Shri Lal Tanwal.
Honorable Minister of State for External Affairs, General V.K. Singh, Honorable Chief Ministers of the Northeastern States, my esteemed colleagues, Secretary, Ministry of External Affairs East, Director General Research Information System for Developing Countries, Excellencies from ASEAN countries, ladies and gentlemen and friends. First of all, I would like to congratulate External Affairs Ministry for holding the 10th edition of Delhi Dialogue, the premier annual event to discuss political, security, economic, and social cultural engagement between India and the ASEAN countries. The annual meet has been helping India and ASEAN countries in finding a common ground in important issues and also expanding the scope of cooperation between India and ASEAN nations. Since India has the advantage of being benign partner to ASEAN, considering that it has no territorial disputes with any of its member states, dialogue could put India as playing a major positive role in regional stability and also strengthen the Act East policy of the Government of India to new height. At the ASEAN-India Commemorative Summit 2018, India and the 10-member Association of Southeast Asian Nations agreed to step up maritime cooperation. In this context, the theme of the 10th edition of Delhi Dialogue, Strengthening India-ASEAN Maritime Cooperation, is apt and timely, and our deliberation today would definitely contribute to development of roadmap for future partnership. The theme of strengthening India-ASEAN maritime cooperation is also central to the United Nations agenda for sustainable development, which will shape National Development Plan until 2030. Goal 14 of the SDG is to conserve and use the oceans, seas, and maritime resources for sustainable development. Moreover, shipping is an integral part of the global economy, and it was one of the first globalizing forces. It has been furthering social and economic interaction for centuries. Ships transport more than 80% of the world trade by volume and are a critical facilitator for most ocean-based industries. Today, the shipping industry influences both positively and negatively a wide range of the issues that are addressed by the Sustainable Development Goals. India has a coastline spanning about 7,500 kilometers, forming one of the biggest peninsulas in the world. Around 90% of India's external trade by volume and 70% by value are handled by ports. As on March 2017, 12 major ports and 205 non-major ports operate on India's coast. Yet, in India, only about 6% of freight transport in 2016 to 17 is accounted as water transport. Total cargo handling capacity and major port and non-major port stands at 2,161.85 metric ton, and total capacity utilization across all ports was only 52.44%. Some of the ports may have been operational below its handling capacity due to poor connectivity. There is huge scope for improvement in capacity improvement of ports across the country. Since ports and waterways are responsible for the most effective flow of the merchandise trade, investment in quality infrastructure is essential for better connectivity, trade, growth, and maximum utility of resources. India will definitely stand to gain enormously if we could strengthen our maritime infrastructure to enhance India-ASEAN maritime cooperation. The theme of this year, strengthening India-ASEAN maritime cooperation, is very much appropriate. Although my state is a little farther away from the sea, nevertheless, I think we are equally relevant. Mizoram is located in the southernmost state of Northeast India, having two international borders, those of Myanmar in the east and Bangladesh in the west. I thank the chairman of the special plenary, the Honorable Union Minister of State, External Affairs, General V.K. Singh, who is so well versed with the topography of the northeastern states, for leading this forum. As a part of the Government of India's Look East policy, now Act East policy, we have undertook the initiative of construction of colored and multimodal transit transport project, as the President has said. A two-lane highway, 87 kilometers in length, under the Special Accelerated Road Development Project, Northeast, since 2020. This new highway comprises of land, river, and sea routes through the state of Mizoram, along the Kaladan River in Myanmar, up to the seaport of Sitwe in the Bay of Bengal. This will connect landlocked northeastern region from Kolkata to Sitwe. We hope that after the completion of this Kaladan multimodal transport project, we shall have the entire northeastern region can have outlet in the sea to Sitwe seaport in Myanmar. In fact, we have already set apart a portion of the doggate in the Sitwe seaport. The fuel stretch within Myanmar is yet to be constructed, and after this is completed, we hope Mizoram will become the gateway for trade and commerce with ASEAN and Southeast Asian countries in particular. The Kaladan multimodal transit transport project will shorten this by a good 421 kilometers. And once again, I thank the Honorable Minister for External Affairs as well as the Minister of State for External Affairs for having organized this 10th Delhi Dialogue, which goes a long way in fostering better friendship with the ASEAN countries. and I'm happy to be participating in this as one of the invitees because we are working on strengthening this maritime communication with these ASEAN countries. As my colleague, the Honorable Chief Minister of Meghalaya has spoken all about the cultural affinity and various other things, I won't repeat all those things. I thank the External Affairs Minister, Sushma Swaraj, for having convened this meeting, and I wish this would strengthen the ties between India and the ASEAN countries for various purposes, including this ASEAN maritime cooperation. Thank you very much.
थैंक्स मिस्टर चीफ मिनिस्टर। अब मैं आमंत्रित करूंगा हमारे त्रिपुरा के लोकप्रिय मुख्यमंत्री श्री बिप्लब कुमार देव जी को।
Honorable Chairperson of the session, Union Minister of State for External Affairs, General V.K. Singh Ji, Honorable Chief Ministers and Deputy Chief Minister for Northeast region, the delegates from all over the world, particularly the members of delegations from ASEAN who are present here, my media friends, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a moment of great honor and privilege for me to be present here at the 10th edition of the Delhi Dialogue as a representative of the 37 lakhs people of state of Tripura. I would like to express my humble gratitude to Honorable Union Minister of External Affairs, Srimati Sushma Swaraj Ji, for giving us this wonderful platform to highest the dreams and aspiration of the people of Northeast India. Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi Ji's vision to make Northeast as the Ashtalakshmi of India. All the programs and schemes are being undertaken with speed and scale to bring qualitative change in the lives of citizens. Tripura, a new gateway of Northeast India. With a vision transforming Tripura, several transformational measures taken by the government for increasing accountability of transparency, increasing ease of doing business in the state, empowerment of women, doubling income of farmers, opportunities for self-employment of youth, etc. Step taken with a mantra of reform, perform, and transform to achieve the objective of Antudoya. ASEAN, a torchbearer of multilateralism. Northeastern state can learn from their example of cooperation and unity. Nothing is impossible if there is the right intention and commitment of achieve the target. ASEAN can also be called because of these qualities and assuring security and equality for all nations, linking ASEAN with Northeast India, assuring on era prosperity. The Act of Easy Policy of the Government of India, parts of Northeast region at the center of engagement with ASEAN. Tripura, the land with great cultural connect with ASEAN. The land of Tripura always held a very special place in the life of Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore. Gurudev visited several members countries of ASEAN where learned lessons and wrote several writing during these visits. In one such tribute of Lord Buddha on visiting the great Barabadu temple, Tagore wrote the sacred silence which stands still in the midst of surging centuries of noise. Buddhism also holds a special place in Tripura, Pilak, South Tripura. Tripura bridge between South Asia and Southeast Asia. Tripura is all set to become a new gateway of Northeast India. Joint efforts being made by the Government of India and Bangladesh to implement visionary multi-modal infrastructure project. Airway MBBA Agartala Airport, roadway and railway Agartala and Shabram Road, waterway Feni River Bridge to Bangladesh and Chittagong Port, highways connecting different parts of the world. India's third international internet gateway in Tripura. Panchatattva model, highways, railways, airways and waterways shall ensure Tripura as a new gateway for Northeast India, for ASEAN and also enter Bangladesh, South Asia. I invite my friends from ASEAN to invest in Tripura to be part of our growth story. I am confident that the discussion and deliberations undertaken here at the Delhi Dialogue program shall further strengthen the Indian-ASEAN relations. Thank you, Jai Hind. और मैं कॉनराड संगमा को धन्यवाद दूंगा, जहाँ भी बोलता है तो मेरे बर्थ प्लेस त्रिपुरा के बारे में भी कुछ बोल के जाते हैं. थैंक यू.
Now I would like to invite Deputy Chief Minister of Arunachal Pradesh, Shri Main.
Honorable Minister of State for External Affairs, General Dr. V.K. Singh Ji, Honorable Chief Minister of Meghalaya, Dr. Conrad Konkal Sangma Ji, Honorable Chief Minister of Mizoram, Sri Lanthan Haula Ji, Honorable Chief Minister of Tripura, Sri Biplab Kumar Dev Ji, Honorable Minister of Industries, etc. from Assam, Sri Chandramohan Patwari Ji, distinguished dignitaries from ASEAN countries, other dignitaries on the dais, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a great privilege for me to address this august gathering of luminaries consisting of political leaders, academicians, policymakers, economists, industrialists, security experts coming from various countries of ASEAN. This forum provides a very important platform for all of us to share our ideas in areas of mutual cooperation and security. Our visionary Honorable Prime Minister, as part of his vision for the development of the country, has been focusing on the development of Northeast region through his proactive Act East policy. I take this opportunity to inform the August gathering that various steps and unprecedented interest taken by the Honorable Prime Minister in the Northeast region has indeed turned our look his policy into act his policy. Under his strong and visionary leadership, the region has embarked upon a new growth trajectory and has indeed become the new engine of India's growth. Special attention and priority given to the Northeast region by the Government of India on all fronts has vastly changed the mindset of the people of other parts of the world about this region. As part of the policy, Government of India is focusing on reducing the isolation of the region by improving all-round connectivity through road, rail, telecom, power, and waterway sectors, and making it the gateway to the Southeast Asia. We are opening up both roads and railroads to our neighboring countries. This should give a boost to the economic development of the region. The Northeast region of India can be a hub to facilitate development cooperation across the border with countries in the immediate neighborhood and even with those located little beyond. The possibilities of synergies between the developmental activities planned for the Northeast region of India and India's initiative under the development cooperation with the countries in the immediate neighborhood like Myanmar, Nepal, Bangladesh, and Bhutan is intense. India's engagement with countries beyond immediate neighborhood, Cambodia, Laos, PDR, and Vietnam also has been increasing rapidly. Expectedly, mutual benefit accruing to India from such development cooperation activities will spill over in a more than proportionate manner to the Northeast states of India. For such an effort to fructify, it is necessary that a clear convergence of India's axis policy is established. Such a convergence can be achieved only when a thorough ground level one-on-one mapping of intervention both within the Northeast region and the neighboring is carried out. The recent visit of Honorable External Affairs Minister, Srimati Sushma Swaraj to Myanmar on 10-11 May 2018 was of the immense significance for both the countries. During the bilateral meeting, boundaries and border-related issues, peace and security matters, development of Rakhine State, including the return of displaced persons, India's development assistance to Myanmar, ongoing projects and other issues of mutual interest were discussed. 7 agreements, MOUs, were signed during the visit. The agreement on land border crossing was one of them, which is a landmark on bilateral relation between the two countries, as it will enable people of both countries to cross the land border with passport and visa, including accessing health and education services, pilgrimage, and tourism. The MOU on restoration of pagodas, underlining the enduring cultural and historical links between the two countries. There are enough avenues through which Northeast India can be related to the Southeast Asia. Racial, linguistic, and cultural similarity prevailing among the people of Northeast India and those of Southeast Asia. If the government really strives to translate these policies into reality, their collaborative endeavors would invariably revive age-old cultural and historical bond. The straightaway step forward is to upgradation of communications in this part of the region. With better road communication, networking facilities, and other peripheral sector, there will be further enhancement of trade and will usher in people-to-people contact and cultural exchange from both the sides, leading to strengthening the bond between the two countries. Arunachal Pradesh shares a long and sensitive international boundary of 1,863 kilometer borders with 3 nations, namely Bhutan, China, and Myanmar. In terms of geographical area, it is the largest state in the Northeast region and home to 26 major tribes and more than 100 sub-tribes. In the context of ASEAN, there is significant opportunities as well as challenges. Government of India may also consider looking at the opportunities ahead. I must refer to the historic road called Stilwell Road, or the Lido Road, which starts from Assam and leads up to Kunming in China through Myanmar, passing through many important towns in Kachin states of Myanmar. While it may perhaps not be appropriate to make the whole of Stilwell Road operational, but opening up of Stilwell Road up to Myanmar may be considered as it would mutually beneficial to both the countries. Most of the 1,726 kilometer long historic Stilwell Road is now in a usable condition, and only about 160 kilometer portion in Myanmar needs renovation and repairs. Opening up this road provides direct connectivity to Yunnan province of China. It is in our national interest to build this 160 kilometer portion through an agency like BRO and open this road for trade and commerce at the earliest. The lake of no return, which is a potential tourism destination, also lies along this route. Government of India may also consider establishing a hospital in the with modern state-of-the-art facilities in the Tirap, Changlang, Longding region for the benefit of the people living on both sides of the border, which will act as a goodwill gesture and also benefit the people of this area where existing medical facilities are far from satisfactory. The agricultural produce of not only Arunachal Pradesh but of the entire northeast region would find its way into the neighboring areas in Myanmar, and there would be a considerable complementary trade opportunities on both sides. It would be appropriate if high-level agreement is drawn on the quality of infrastructure on both sides, including roads as well as creation of integrated checkposts at the border with proper security and custom facilities. Opening of border huts may also be considered in the feasible locations to facilitate and boost trans-border trade. The Indo-Myanmar-Thailand highway should be operationalized into a robust transportational network. Further, in order to realize its true potential with the Northeast region, roads leading to Tamu-More border within the region must also be strengthened for substantial benefit. There is an urgent need to take up the Lumla in Tawang, Arunachal Pradesh to Tashigong in Bhutan road for strengthening the border trade between the two countries. Apart from giving an alternate road for the people of Tawang to reach Guwahati and other parts of the country, this road will facilitate tourism and other economic activities between the two countries. The Indian portion of the road up to the borders of Bhutan has also been completed, while a stretch of 12 kilometers of the Bhutan side is to be constructed. I would like to request Union External Affairs Minister to take up with the Kingdom of Bhutan for completion of this stretch opening up to this crucial road. If Bhutan has any issues, Government of India may consider establishing strong checkpoint to stop immigration and crossing for unwanted elements. This will reduce the traveling time from Tawang to Guwahati by about 5 hours compared to the existing road through Bhalukpong and Sela Pass. The flourishing border trade of the pass is languishing in the post-liberation phase. In our relation with the mainland, we suffer an obvious disadvantage of a long transport lease and heavy transport cost. On the other hand, free trade between the Northeast region and the Southeast Asian countries would be in consonance with the central government's Act East policy. We would like to emphasize that it is not enough to promote low-value and low-volume border trade, but to use the outlet for full-fledged international trade. We need to open up the international border wherever feasible for free flow of goods and trade between us and our neighbors. Arunachal Pradesh would be a hub to robust trade with neighboring countries, as it is ideally located close to landlocked Southeast Asian countries with abundant natural resources and having maximum scope of organic farming and floriculture. From the time immemorial, the people of Arunachal Pradesh living in the border areas had trade relation with the people across the border. And even today, informal trade in Pangso Pass, Indo-Myanmar, are taking place without any hassle problem. The land custom station at Nampong was notified way back in August 1951 and is lying non-functional at present. Therefore, Government of India may kindly initiate early action for reopening of land custom station Nampong Panso Pass with required infrastructure and also for posting of custom officer, which will not only benefit state of Arunachal but of the entire Northeast. I would also request Government of India to examine opening up of more land custom station across Myanmar border. Arunachal Pradesh is home to tremendous diversity and breathtaking natural beauty and one of the 18 biodiversity hotspots of the world. Development of ecotourism, wellness tourism, adventure tourism, and spiritual tourism in the state would help provide huge employment opportunities to people of the state. Arunachal Pradesh is the seat of ancient Buddhist tradition at Tawang. There is a scope of promotion of a new Buddhist tourism network to attract tourism from Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam to Buddhist pilgrimage centers in Sikkim, Nepal, Bhutan, and Arunachal Pradesh, even beyond to Gaya and Lumbini. Arunachal Pradesh has also the sacred Parsuram Kund, which has also a special appeal for great number of Hindu devotees. We would like to ask the central government to give special attention to this sector as has the potential for revenue generation and employment creation of the short and medium term. Socio-cultural aspects. The cultural complementaries which are defined by influence of historic exchange between ASEAN and India are perhaps most pronounced in the Northeast region, particularly in the state of Arunachal Pradesh. For instance, the cultural tradition of the Thai Khamtis have a huge similarities with the Thai Buddhist cultural tradition. This will be reinforced by regular bilateral cultural exchange, and we can develop an institutional mechanism of bilateral cultural exchange which would enhance people-to-people contact and create a platform for developing better understanding and also create opportunities of the economic activities in due course of time. All the above mentioned issues are crucial to determine the development of Northeast region. Northeast region is vital for India's active policy, but at the same time, its own development is national responsibilities. It is in this I hope with the sustained and continued efforts, we will be able to develop better cooperation between Thai and ASEAN countries, which will not only help the countries individually, but will also be able to stand against any force that try to destabilize our friendship and act against our overall interests and peace and prosperity of the region. I thank the organizers for giving us the opportunity to place our views in this important forum, which I am sure will be appropriately looked into and considered. I also invite each one of you to visit our beautiful state. We will be honored to have you in our midst. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Now, last but not the least, as you know, the economy of Assam is extremely important. I would like to invite the Minister of Industries and Commerce of Assam.
Honorable Minister of State, External Affairs, General V.K. Singh Ji, Honorable Chief Ministers of Northeastern Region States, Deputy Chief Minister of Arunachal Pradesh, and honorable dignitaries from ASEAN countries, and ladies and gentlemen present here. So first of all, I'd like to extend my heartiest thanks to MEA for giving us this opportunity to express our views so far this ASEAN and India relation is concerned. I had a written speech, but it is very long, so I'll not go through. I'll just submit it to the minister. So 2-3 points which is required, I'll just mention. So first of all, I'd like to draw the attention of our Minister of State, Ministry of External Affairs, General V.K. Singh, that prior to our independence, means before 1947, the per capita income of the state of Assam was highest in the country. And the economic growth rate was, and GDP was also highest in the country prior to 1947. But after 1947, because of the blockage to the Chittagong port, so our economy has gone down. And now we are coming to the lower part. Because we are rich in hydrocarbon sector, the first refinery of Asia and second refinery of the world was established in Assam in Digboi, oil refinery. That was the first refinery of Asia, and that was the second refinery of the world. In 1901, it was established in Digboi. We were rich in hydrocarbon sector. We were rich in tea. We were rich in coal. We were rich in forest products. So that during that time, through river Brahmaputra, so there was access to Chittagong port, because of which the British rulers are trading all over the world, and because of which Assam per capita income was highest in the country before independence. And after independence in 1956 or 1957, when this Chittagong access to the Chittagong port was blocked, so our economy has gone down now. This is very important, and which affects whole northeastern region. And now my point is this. So if we see that Southeast Asian countries, including northeastern region states, if we calculate the consumer market, then there will be 80 crores consumers in the market, and this is a virgin market. And a day will come in the country also, in our country also, 80 northeastern region states plus ASEAN countries. So if we calculate the consumers market, then there are 80 crores consumers. So this is the virgin market. Means minimum 20 countries of the European countries' population is less. So ultimately we have to focus Southeast Asian market. So to focus Southeast Asian market, a day will come, our domestic product in the country, the way economic growth is going up, a day will come, our domestic products also will be in surplus. Then our surplus product, where we will sell? Because we can't sell in European market, we can't sell in other markets. So we have to focus the market of Southeast ASEAN, and our relations should be good in Southeast Asian. And thanks to the present government, that present government under the leadership of our Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji, so now our relationship is growing better with Southeast Asian countries. So that way, our Honorable Chief Minister, Sri Sarvando Sonowal, he was supposed to be here today, but because of his preoccupied schedule, he couldn't come. So I am directed to attend this meeting. And our Chief Minister to promote the vision of Act East policy. of our Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi. So he formed one department called Act East Policy Affairs Department, and that department also given to me. So now, not only Industry and Commerce Minister, as Act East Policy Affairs Department, I am representing this meeting on behalf of our Honorable Chief Minister. So under Act East Policy Affairs Department, we have done so many things. We have initiated lots of initiative. As for example, Advantage Assam, the Global Summit. So we invited ASEAN countries, and in that meeting, Advantage Assam, during Advantage Assam Global Investor Summit 2018, we organized a special session of Northeast India's economic ties with ASEAN and BBN countries on the 4th of February 2018. Ministers of 5 ASEAN and BBN countries, including Prime Minister of Bhutan, attended it, and along with the senior officials of Donor Ministry and External Affairs Ministry and the country director of the ASEAN Development Bank, and it was moderated by Niti Aayog CEO Sri Amitabh Kant. And significant features of this session, which I and our Chief Minister are really proud to be part of it, was that concluded with ASEAN-style joint handshake among the dignitaries present there with the ASEAN ministers. So this is one we have done. Secondly, our Prime Minister, so he focused 5 points, because Assam, Northeastern region, he described Ashtalakshmi, new engine for the growth of the country, and he has given us 5 paths: airways, railways, roadways, waterways, and information ways. So, sir, I'd like to inform you that our roadways now better, good in Assam. Railways also, doubling railways started. This is also good. So airways, now we have, Civil Aviation Minister have sanctioned one new terminal. So we are also expecting a new terminal like T3 of Delhi at Guwahati. And already our Chief Minister has given 100 crores to Civil Aviation Department so that this RCS policy, regional connectivity policy, can be implemented in the state. And if God permit us, God will help us, then in the coming October, we are supposed to start our international connection with Southeast Asian countries, 6 capitals of Southeast Asian countries under this RCS policy. So this is the decision we have taken and we are trying. So this is one thing. And our Meghalaya, Honorable Chief Minister Meghalaya, he said very rightly that one person from Meghalaya or Assam to fly 1.5 hours journey, he has to come to Guwahati for Delhi for 2 hours, going back 2 hours, 4 hours, staying 2 days here for 1.5 hours journey to Southeast Asian countries. So this is really bad. So that's why I had attended another MEA meeting previously, and I requested our Sushma Swaraj, Honorable Minister MEA, to give us one regional MEA office at Guwahati, so that all northeastern states are being benefited. Because coming to Delhi 2 hours, going back to Delhi 2 hours, staying Delhi for 2 hours for visa, so it's hazardous for the northeastern region people. So so Sushma Swaraj assured me in that meeting that you give land, and definitely we are giving one regional office with all facilities. So already we have given land, and we have we have intimated to MEA Ministry also. And other thing regarding this regarding this um, regarding our internet connection. So only through Tripura, so only 20 kilometers left, and these 20 kilometers will be completed within very short time. So probably this, what our Prime Minister focused for 5 ways, that 5 ways already by the effort of the Assam government and with the help of our central government, already we have completed. And secondly, my humble request to you, sir, that this Kaladan project should be completed within very short time so that Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura, they can trade. And our ministers from Tripura, it is only 60 kilometers to Bangladesh. So they are also given this sort of facilities to connect with Bangladesh. And secondly, this trilateral highway, this is very important for us. So trilateral highway also, so already we have discussed with Nitin Gadkariji also, and I request you also to take up this matter to complete this trilateral highway so that our this trade and commerce activity will be increased. And apart from that, with the help of, with the blessings of our Prime Minister and External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj, so already Bangladesh and Bhutan opened their consulate in Guwahati. So I'd like to request you to request other countries also to open their consulate, because already we have Twin Tower we are going to start in International Trade Center also, and we are giving facilities for those consulate, those countries who open their consulate there. So we are giving space to them in that building. So sir, actually you are helping in our Advantage Assam also. You requested Prime Minister of Bhutan, because of your request that he attended the meeting. So now, regarding consulate, I hope you will initiate it strongly, because of your request, because Chief Minister and me came to your office and we request you, and you also request Prime Minister of Bhutan, and he attended these things, Advantage Assam. So this time also we need your help. If you bless us, then if all consulates, all the countries, ASEAN countries' consulates are open there, then trade and commerce will be increased actually. And it is not for only Northeastern region, it is for the country. So with these few words, thanking you again, I conclude my speech. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now we come to an end of this session. I would not attempt to summarize this. There are several points. The chair for the next session and the speakers are already here. I would request General V.K. Singh to lead our dignitaries to the ballroom, and we start the next session. Thank you.